Hey guys, another Star Trek video. Yay! So, if you're someone who regularly watches my videos, then you might have heard that I said my previous movie Face Off will probably become a little redundant once this video releases. And that's because today is a video talking about my ranking of all 13 different Star Trek films. This will give me a chance to talk about films I have not yet talked about yet in Star Trek Month and give at least some sort of thought about how I feel about it. So again, there are 13 different Star Trek films. At least there are at the time I'm recording this. So let's just get right to it, shall we? Let's see, at the very bottom, at number 13, is Star Trek Insurrection. This is the ninth film overall, and the third film starring the crew from the show Star Trek The Next Generation. It sees the crew ended up fighting against relocating an alien species from their home, against like the orders and wishes of Federation and such. This completely contradicts what has happened a couple of times on the show where the crews of the Enterprise had saw no alternative but to relocate two different groups of people for the betterment of those people themselves and for the greater good in general at the time of those relocations. And plus this alien species apparently hates technology, yet we see them use technology. Granted, it's stuff like irrigation system and a dam, but that's still very much technology. And that philosophy goes against Star Trek itself, where ultimately technology has helped create a better, more closer world, and it's helped a lot of different people. So to have an alien species say we hate technology, even though they clearly use technology, it just feels wrong. Just does. And the more you think about it, I think the more angry I become as well as you probably should. Anyway, let's move up the list to rank number 12. That'll be Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Fifth film overall, fifth film starring the OG crew and cast. This is one where they are forced by Spock's half brother and his first and only appearance in Star Trek to go and physically find God. Physically find God. That idea is pretty stupid, I'm not gonna lie. And plus the fact that they say that Spock has a half brother and they use the excuse, well, you never asked. What the fuck is that? Although I do admit there is one scene in this movie that I think is actually kind of well done. It talks about how Spock's half brother somehow has the ability to take away other people's pain, and then you have Kirk of all people saying pain is what makes people who they are and that he needs his pain, which I think is actually pretty well done. Aside from that one moment, though, this film is ridiculous. Alright, let's move on to number 11 Star Trek Nemesis. 10th film overall, and the fourth and last film to star the crew of TNG. This sees Picard go up against a younger clone of himself. And that I don't know what else to say but beyond that, because that's a little weird. I mean, there is a little bit of this I like. The theme of nature versus nurture is certainly an interesting theme that I think in certain small parts was done good, but this just really doesn't really hold that much weight to it, considering this was the last film to start TNG. Yeah, underwhelming, I know. Let's move on to number 10 Star Trek Generations. This is the seventh film of the franchise and the first film starring TNG. So the other three previous films show obviously showed some sort of strong leaning towards disliking this, but this is just whatever. We end up having a little bit of the end where Picard and somehow William Shatner as Kirk work together to stop an enemy, which is weird. And plus, there are several other performances from other people that are just annoying. They're just annoying, really. Although there is one cool crash scene, and there are some stuff to like make fun of a little bit, so I guess that's enjoyable. Anyway, don't really have any strong thoughts on that one, really. Now the ninth on this list is the original film, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, very first film of the franchise, OG Crew. So this one sees some sort of probe. I'm just gonna say it's a probe trying to meet its creator. And we learn that it's actually an Earth satellite that somehow gained sentience. Now, they try to make this film become like an experience, such as 2001 A Space Odyssey. And to be fair, the director of this film, I think, is Robert Weiss, who has made some pretty other great films, such as The Sound of Music. And there is certain themes and questions I think are worth exploring in this film, but they just make this film so boring. There are several parts of this film that just don't need to be in it at all. And having this film be a cinematic experience isn't what Star Trek's about. It's about characters, it's about ideas, it's about those things, not about trying to be like some sort of visual, profound experience. No. It's about character journeys and growth. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. Number 8 on this ranking is The Search for Spock, third film in the franchise, third for the OG Crew. Now this one picks up immediately following the second film in the franchise, as they find a way to, in a way, reunite Spock's lost consciousness with a new Spock body. And to be fair, this film could have actually been pretty damn good. There's some stuff that actually works pretty well, but there are several things that are holding this back. The big one being its lack of a real bold villain. But this one is, I think, worth checking out. So watch that one if you want. Anyway, number 7 on this ranking, Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. Fourth film overall, fourth film OG Crew. This is the one with the whales. A huge alien probe that's only able to speak to humpback whales visits Earth in the era of Kirk and Spock in their later part of their career. So they have to time travel back to the late 20th century to find 2 humpback whales and bring them back to their present. This is the most lighthearted of all the Star Trek films. It's actually kind of funny to watch, but there is some really good stuff in here. And this does feel like a longer episode of the original series, which, depending on who you are, can be either a good or bad thing. So take that for what it's worth. Alright, number 6. Here we go. Star Trek Into Darkness. 12th film in the franchise, and the second of what is known as the Kelvin timeline, meaning that it stars the characters from the original series, but portrayed by different actors in a slightly different timeline. Now, this is the one that got a lot of attention for a lot of the right reasons. A great story, themes, villain, characters, up until the last 15 minutes of the film. I won't I won't spoil the ending for you, the last 15 minutes, but it will force you to either really hate the film or still end up liking it despite it. It's a pretty tough ending to get through, especially given what they have shown in the film up until that point. But I find myself that in despite of that last 15 minutes, that this film is still pretty good and serves a number 6 ranking on the list. May not have hit the top 5 for me, but still a good movie overall. Alright, number 5. The 2009 reboots film Star Trek. The 11th film overall, the first film of the alternate Kelvin timeline. This one we have slightly younger versions of Kirk, Spock, Bones, and the crew as they go up against time traveling Romulan. This was a great way of finding a way to do new stuff with the property while breaking itself from continuity issues by, again, alternate timeline. And this shows that, well, yes, this is definitely more action packed and more blockbustery than most Star Trek films, but there is some still good Star Trek stuff in them, which I think is they struck a nice balance with. All right, number 4, Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. This is the 6th and final film starring the OG crew and cast. This one sees the Klingon Empire begin to entering peace negotiations with the Federation, which will eventually lead to them becoming allies. There is some good tension between neighboring alien species and beliefs held by personal individuals within each alien species regarding their past, how they've always interacted with each other, but ultimately finding a way to put that aside in hopes for a better, more peaceful future. And it also does a really nice send up for the OG crew and cast as a final performances from them, or at least from the ones who don't end up making cameos in the TNG show, or for William Shatner, who ended up appearing in Generations, was given an underwhelming death scene. Other than that, this is actually a really great movie. Alright, number 3, Star Trek Beyond. Now, this is the 13th film and the third one of the Kelvin timeline. Most people probably wouldn't name this one as their favorite of the Abrams films, or even let alone it's anywhere in the top 5. But personally, this movie was able to, play on elements and tones that were seen in the original films and show, but while still being completely its own thing, focusing on a villain that has no connection to the original timeline, as well as focusing on character choices and developments that we really haven't seen before, as well as showing some nice action that actually goes pretty well with character development that happens in the movie. A nicer balance than personally from what I've seen compared to the 2009 film. Basically, this is pretty much the best that the Kelvin timeline movies have to offer. Now, number 2 is First Contact. This is the 8th film overall, and the second film of TNG. Time travel, stopping the Borg from assimilating Earth. There are a couple of minor things in this movie that could contradict what we know from the TNG show, but we have some great performances, nice tension and atmosphere, and excellent character journeys throughout the movie from the entire cast. This is a really great film. And of course, the number 1 Star Trek film, The Wrath of Khan, second film overall, second OG crew. I was actually trying to find a way to not have The Wrath of Khan be number 1. Trying to be one of those people who say, oh, you think The Wrath of Khan is going to be number 1, but it's actually this film. Honestly, I just couldn't try and find a way to do that because this film has become legendary for its villain, the situation that the crew is put through, the tension, basically everything about it is just has a lot of nice weight and emotional impact to it. So this one honestly clearly is the best Star Trek film. I'm not gonna lie here, people. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. Still have 2 more videos before Star Trek month is over, so like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys next time.